all four events. Their best performance in that meet was on the vault. They had 47.75 points. They had 47.65 points in their quad meet in Denver. They finished 4th of 4, facing 3 top 15 teams in Denver, Missouri, and Georgia. Vault was their second best performance during that quad meet as well. As for Temple, they lost their lone meet to West Virginia. They scored 191.2 points. Then they finished 5th of 5 in the Lone Star Challenge, so they're 0 of 5 on the year. That challenge included Penn State, Maryland, Arizona State, and Auburn. The best team performance in the West Virginia meet was on the floor. Vault was second. Bars was their lowest score during that meet. They scored 192.35 in the Lone Star Challenge. Still 2 points behind, over 2 points behind Arizona State in that one. Best team performance in that one was on the floor with 48.925 points, as both sides still getting warmed up for this first session. LIU in a new era, they changed head coaches before the start of the season. Taylor Colwell in her first season takes over, was brought in from Central Michigan, had a decorated career as a gymnast at Lindenwood, looking to bring a new culture to this Sharks team. It's a very new Sharks team in what is still a young program, got started in 2021. Looking forward to building relationships with student athletes, what she told us before today's meet. Looking to help student athletes grow their love for gymnastics as they come in every day wanting to work hard. And she's got a lot of freshmen and a lot of new talent all together to work with. It's a very different Sharks team. Their top gymnast a year ago, Sid Morris, retired, won the all-around in the EAGL championship. She was an all-EAGL first-team member. Sharks team was ranked 60th to end the season last year. Temple just ahead of them at 52, as in the all-time series, Temple has had its way, and LIU's only had one win against Temple in those 4 years. Temple, whenever they saw LIU, they outscored them in the 3 meets they saw them in 2024. LIU's lone win came back in 2023. That was in a 3-team meet where LIU put up 195.175 points. Still just over 2 minutes to go in the warm-up process before we get underway, so we'll throw it to a quick commercial break on NEC Front Row. Around 30 seconds left in this warm-up process here on NEC Front Row. Logan Barandis bringing you this meet between LIU and Temple here at the Pratt Recreation Center. Just a reminder of the order of how things will go. LIU will start out on vault, while Temple will go to bars. They'll switch up, and then starting on the third session, LIU will go to the beam as Temple will start on the floor. They'll switch. It's 4 sessions as we get set to bring it underway. LIU will set up on vault as Temple will go over towards the bars on the right side of the gym. Brooke Burkhart will lead off for LIU once we get set for vault. Vault has typically been one of LIU's better competitions. Quick recognition before the start of this meet. LIU's been in the top 2 in vault as a team in each of their 2 meets this year. Brooke Burkhart gets set. This senior holds the highest vault score on the team, an average of 9.7, and sticks the landing. That's a pretty good start for LIU. Had a 9.75 in Air Force. That tied for second on the team. At a 9.675 in the Denver meet as the senior gets us started here for the Sharks. Now we head over to the bars. It's Brianna Verano starting on bars for Temple. Verano, the freshman, second highest bar score on the team, an average of just under 9.5, completes the flip. Verano, since 2018, been a level 10 gymnast with Parkettes Gymnastics. Has a career high of 9.875 as she completes her way towards the higher bar. Now gets set for her dismount, a couple spins, and finishes. Verano coming off a 5.525 in Texas. That was fourth on the team. We'll wait for the scores to come in, and we will update you here as the match goes along. So we get set for LIU. This is Rafael Pedro. Slight jump on the landing. That was her career debut, as the freshman has not competed in either of the two other meets this year. A Canadian AA champion in the CCP 10 16+ division. That was her first vault of her collegiate career. No scores have come in just yet from either of the first participants between LIU and Temple. We'll get set for Amanda Sherman for Temple. Late addition into the lineup for Temple. This will be her first action of the season as well. Burkhart's score came in for LIU. That's a 9.675 to open the day for the Sharks. That matches her season high, and it makes it the third time this season she scored above a 9.5. So that's the first score to come in for either side. We'll wait on the score from Verano. So there's still a delay before Sherman gets set for her bar performance. They gave the score to Pedro. That's a 9.575. And Verano follows that up on bars with a 9.525. So good start for Pedro in her collegiate debut. Now it's Amanda Sherman. Her first ever action on bars in her collegiate career. Did not compete last year. Saw action in 6 meets on beam. Averaged a 9.4 during that 2023 season. She gets set to dismount here. That was Amanda Sherman, the junior, finishing up on bars. Now it's Zoe Claiborne, another freshman for this Sharks team. Holds the second highest vault score on the team, an average of 9.625. Here she goes here. Claiborne coming off a 9.5 in the Denver meet. That was second on the team. So that was the third participant for LIU in this session. Third in the order, Mariella Bruck coming up. No other scores have updated just yet. We wait on Sherman and also Claiborne to come in for their respective teams. Claiborne scores a 9.65. That ranks second on the Sharks right now, ahead of Pedro's 9.575. We'll wait for Sherman's score on bars as well. LIU off to a good start on the vault. This has been one of their better events throughout the year. Meanwhile, they're catching Temple at what has been their lowest scoring event of the year. They've scored their lowest cumulative score in bars in both their meets this year. So this is a chance for LIU to catch up as Sherman picks up a 9.4. That's the lowest score overall today. Mariella Bruick up now for bars on Temple. Holds the fourth highest bar score on the team, an average of just over 9. Bruick also competes on the beam. Did not compete last year. Graduated from FAU High School. Started off the season very strong, a 9.7 against West Virginia, but had the team low in Texas. Looking to rebound right here as she heads for her dismount. As Bruick finishes up, both sides have gone halfway through in this first session. As Kyra Cartwright, another freshman for LIU, running up now. Third highest vault score on the team. Cartwright finishes strong. Cartwright had a 9.65 against Air Force. That was second on the team. Followed that up with a 9.575 in Denver. Went fourth on both those occasions, as she just did there for LIU. Kirsten Johnson awaiting her start on bars for Temple. So we'll wait for both those scores to come in for Bruick and Cartwright, respectively. And Cartwright's just came in. That's a 9.775. That is the highest score we've seen today, regardless of event. And as for Cartwright, that is also a career high, passing her Air Force total by a tenth of a point as Bruick comes in with a 9.65. That's the highest score for Temple on bars today. Now it's Kirsten Johnson, the transfer from Talladega College in Auburn, Alabama. Program shut down after this past year as she can't complete the transfer to the low bar. Johnson competed on bars in West Virginia, had an 8.2 in that appearance. She's competed in all 4 events this year as she gets the transfer off there and can't stick it. Johnson resets. She appeared on bars 9 times last year, averaged around a 9.3, and got as high as a 9.825, though that she had the third most points on that Talladega team in bars. She'll set back up. Now setting for the dismount. And Johnson lands it. So that's 4 gymnasts for both sides in this first session. Both sides have 6 in the lineup as coming up Daniela Holmes. Big bounce, but sticks the landing. Holds the 4th highest vault score on the team, coming off a 9.45 in Denver. Also had a 9.525 against Air Force. That was her high this season. So LIU will have 1 more left on vault. And that'll be Alina Danlichenko, who was set up to go on vault. That was the late addition for the Sharks, the only late addition made by Taylor Colwell. As Holmes, her score comes in at a 9.45. That's the low right now, but it's a pretty good low mark for the Sharks, as if 6 gymnasts compete, the lowest score would be taken out. So right now that would be Holmes. And we're still waiting on Kirsten Johnson's score before Hannah Wecklar will go for Temple on bars. So Temple will have 2 more gymnasts to compete on bars. LIU just 1 more on vault before we'll switch. As just to kind of run down the scores for LIU so far, Burkhart started out with a 9.675. Pedrew followed that up with a 9.575. Claiborne went third at a 9.65. Kyra Cartwright a 9.775. That's the highest score regardless of event today. And Daniela Holmes just followed it up with a 9.45. That's the low for LIU right now. We're still waiting on Kirsten Johnson's score to come through on her bars performance. Temple will have the next performance. It will be from the sophomore Hannah Wecklar, the New York native. It's a good start for the Sharks. And they saw a vast improvement from their matchup against Air Force and their latest appearance in Denver. They improved by about 2 points. And we talked to Taylor Colwell about it as Johnson's score comes in at an 8.05, which would be the team low right now. Hannah Wecklar gets set up, and Colwell kind of preached getting to celebrate the little things and wanted to emphasize the positive spirit that LIU had during that meet. As a nice transition there from Wecklar. Holds the highest bar score on the team this year, an average of around 9.675. Makes the switch at the top, and a clean landing for Wecklar. Has a 9.7 or 9.65 on the year. Stalinchenko coming in on bars. This is her season debut, and it comes here on vault. That's a good start. Appeared in 10 matches last year. Averaged around a 9.6. Got as high as 9.725. So we'll wait for those 2 performances to come in respectively. It's a pretty good set for LIU on vault today. We'll see how that ranks compared to their past 2 meets, but it should rank pretty high. Going to get some investigative journalism in form of the calculator to add up the LIU scores, see where they hold up compared to their early starts this season. Right now, if you don't include Dalinchenko's vault, they currently hold a 48.125. That clears their high, and Dalinchenko's won't be added to that, as a 9.375 is the low on the team. Daniela Holmes' 9.45 will count. But a 48.125, that's the highest score LIU's put up on the vault in their first 3 meets. They had a 47.15 they had a 47.75 in the Air Force meet. So about 0.4 of a point. Hannah Wecklar's score just came in. That was a 9.675. That's the team high for Temple. As going right now for Temple is Sarah Stallings. Stallings, a 2024 All-EAGCL first team selection on the bars. Got as high as a 9.9 and led her team in points a year ago. Stallings looking to gain back some points. It's the final competitor on vault. Can't stick the landing. Falls backwards. If she gets higher than an 8.050, which is what Kirsten Johnson had for Temple, then the score will count. So we will add up Temple's score on bars. Remember, this is their lowest scoring event out of the 4 in their first 2 meets. But it's a start you probably dreamed of if you're LIU. If you're Stallings, you're probably looking at around a 9.9 if you want to pass LIU score in this first session. If you don't include Johnston's score, it's a 38.25 for Temple on bars. As the senior Sarah Stallings just finished up here. So to kind of run through Temple's scores, Verano started out with a 9.525. Amanda Sherman responded with a 9.4. Mariella Bruick had a 9.65. Then Kirsten Johnson an 8.050, and Hannah Wecklar a 9.675. That's the best on the team, pending the score from Stallings, which comes in at a 9.125 for Temple. So Temple's cumulative score, if you take out Kirsten Johnson's low, a 47.375. So LIU holds more points after the first session, going for its first victory of the season. Beat Temple by .75. So right now on bars, Megan White going for Temple as an exhibition performance. This will not count towards the total team score for Temple. So the first session is complete after the exhibition, as Megan White will wrap up here. So as we switch from session 1 over to session 2, they get set to start the 2-minute timer. We'll take a quick pause here on NEC Front Row. And we're back here on Alumni Night at the Pratt Recreation Center on NEC Front Row. Logan Barandis getting set for session 2 between LIU and Temple. What's been a close match so far. After the first session, LIU leads by .75 points, but both teams put up season highs in their respective categories. LIU with 48.125 on vault, and Temple with 47.35 on the bars. So we switch sides, getting set for session number 2. For Temple on vault, Hannah Wecklar will lead off, followed by Amelia Budd. Renee Schugman back in, Nikki Renhifo follows, Harmony Haro and Kirsten Johnson round out the bunch. And for LIU on bars, Angelina Hogan, Haley Welsh, Kayla Toniolo, Kira Sanchez, Caroline Kluwer, and Brisa Carraro are the 6 for LIU. Both will have an exhibition gymnast that will go after, that won't count towards the final score. Another 3 minutes on the docket before the start of session number 2. Do want to highlight LIU head coach in Taylor Colwell, who is in her first season, putting together a new culture for this Sharks team. She talked about her first home meet and being a Long Island native, how excited she was to feel that energy at Pratt, and she anticipated it would be a great energy in the building. She was excited to experience it for the first hand, and being from Long Island, had a lot of family and friends expected to come and support, and highlighted the parent group as well for this LIU team. And they've shown out in full force for their first home meet of the season, and looking forward to seeing that energy and hearing that energy throughout the night as well. So just around 2 minutes to go before the start of session number 2. We'll take another quick pause on NEC Front Row. Just around 25 seconds before the start of session 2. Again, it will be Temple switching over to the vault. LIU will head over to bars for the start of the session. They just gave Megan White her score. The exhibition competitor for Temple scored a 9.55, which won't count towards the final score for Temple. It would have been the third highest score on the team. LIU would have still come out on top in the first session. LIU had 48.125 points compared to Temple's 47.375. 5. So the clock is at 0. We expect Hannah Wecklar to lead things off on the vault for Temple, which has been one of the Owls' better events this year. They scored second points-wise in each of their 2 meets this year. As for LIU on bars, that was their worst event in the Air Force meet by a hefty margin, but it became their best event in Denver. They scored 47.7 points compared to 45 points against Air Force. So don't know what you're going to expect with LIU. See what the median is for them. As we know, Temple has been dominant on vault this year. Hannah Wecklar gets set, holds the 4th highest vault score on the team, just over a 9.6 this year. Landed backwards just a bit. So we'll see how that's scored. Angelina Hogan starts out her performance on bars, holds the 2nd highest bar score on the team, around a 9.475. Was a transfer from Temple after last year. Scored a 9.7 or better 4 times last year at Temple. Now looking for that success against Temple. Just coming off a 9.625 in Denver, and that should score highly here. Has shined in the leadoff spot on bars for LIU. And that's the start the Sharks needed on bars. So to bring in Amelia Budd, the sophomore, has the 2nd highest vault score for this Temple team, or over a 9.71. Was 5th on the team in points in the vault category last year, as Wecklar's comes in at a 9.2 to start for Temple. That would be her lowest score on the season. Never had below a 9.6 before that. And we're still waiting on Amelia Hogan's score to come in for the Sharks. But until then, we'll have Amelia Budd coming in, just coming off a 9.75 in the meet in Texas. That was tied for the best performance on her team. Strong landing for Budd. Should get the Owls back on track after a lower score from Wecklar. So we'll see Haley Welsh for the first time for the Sharks, the freshman. Averages around an 8.76 in her 2 performances this year, coming off an impressive 9.375. Their 3rd straight performance in the number 2 spot for the Sharks, as Hogan comes in a 9.525. Hogan scores 2nd on her season, as we'll see Haley Welsh from Frederick, Maryland. Can't stick the landing on the high bar, and she'll reset here. We're still waiting on Budd's score, which actually just came out, a 9.65. The highest score in this session so far is Haley Welsh gets set back up. Improved in a huge way in between meets. Had a 8.15 in the Air Force meet, and then boosted that almost by 1.2 points in the Denver meet. See how she recovers here as she heads in for the dismount. Strong landing after a bit of a snag early in the performance. Head back into the vault. It's Renee Shugman. Holds the highest vault score on the team. Averages around 9.75 points. See how that one scored for Temple. Saw action in 12 matches on vault last year, averaged close to a 9.75. Hasn't scored below a 9.7 this year. See if that changes for Temple as they have gone 3 deep. So Kayla Toniolo will set up, the junior for the Sharks, on bars. Coming off a 9.45 as Shugman's score comes in a 9.55. Don't think Welsh's score has come in yet for LIU. That's 2 strong scores for the Sharks in their last 2 go-arounds, a 9.65 and a 9.55. And Welsh is going to come in at a 9 flat. So that's the lowest score for either side in this session. And Toniolo on the bars now. Did not compete last year, but coming off a big improvement in the Denver meet. 9.45 was 4th on the team. She has the 4th highest bar score for the Sharks, and clean landing. Slight bounce on the landing. See how that's scored for LIU. We're in the back half of this session as in will come Nikki Renhifo. The freshman coming off a 9.75 in Texas. Sticks that landing. Renhifo named a state vault champion in high school at Coral Glades High School. So this has been her event. So we'll wait for the scores for Toniolo and Renhifo to come around. Kira Sanchez will be next for the Sharks. Sanchez, someone that Taylor Colwell highlighted before this match with her senior leadership, was someone who Colwell called very consistent, someone this team can rely on this year. It'll be the first time we see her today. She's also competed on the vault and on the floor this year, as Renhifo picks up a 9.675, which is the highest score on vault for Temple so far, and Toniolo picks up a 9.525. That matches Hogan's score. Right now, Haley Welsh holds the low at 9 flat. So all the scores have come in. Kira Sanchez will be the 4th competitor on bars for LIU. Sanchez holds the highest bar score on the team, averages around a 9.58. Competed on bars 7 times a year ago. And that concluded with a 15th place finish in the EAGL Championships. Transition back to the high bar as Sanchez gets set for the dismount. So that's 4 competitors gone for LIU on bars. It'll be Harmony Harrow, the freshman for Temple, coming off a 9.75 in Texas. That was tied for best on the team. The freshman, it's a good landing here. Harrow averages around a 9.6 on vault this year. Has a personal best of 9.85, which she completed last January at the UGA Invitational. So we got 2 scores to wait on, Sanchez and Harrow. Temple has just 1 more on bars. That'll be Kirsten Johnson. LIU 2 more on bars. And that'll help us conclude session 2. LIU won the first session by 0.75 points as Harrow picks up a 9.6 for Temple. Right now the lowest score is Wecklar, who led off with a 9.2. Everything else has been above a 9.5 for the Owls. Still waiting on Kira Sanchez, who just finished for LIU. Sanchez picks up a 9.575. That's the best for the Sharks on bars. And Caroline Cleaver will get set on bars. The freshman holds the third highest bar score on the team, a 9.475. Led the team in Denver, a 9.65. Started a career with a 9.3 against Air Force. That time couldn't complete the transition to the low bar. She'll set back up. Brisa Carraro will conclude the bars segment for the Sharks. First, Cleaver has to finish. Finished 19th in the bars segment in Denver. In the quad meet there. Gets the landing down after having to reset. So Kirsten Johnson will close out on bars for Temple. We saw her on bars in session 1. Now goes for bars. Finishes the landing there, averages a 9.68 on the season. Has not scored below a 9.6 on vault this year. So we'll wait for those two scores to finish out. Johnson led her team in Talladega College last year to an became the first HBCU gymnastics squad to win an NCAA competition. That was last year before the program shut down. So Temple is done on vault. We'll compile the scores as Johnson came out with a 9.8. That is the best on the team. So Wecklar's total of 9.2 will not count towards the overall total. And this is a very solid session for Temple. Calculate the scores right here. They'll finish with a 48.275. That defeats the score that LIU put up on the vault category. They had a 48.125. As they came out with the score for Kluwer, who had a 8.875. That's the new low for LIU, and that's a tough one to take, as they already have a 9 flat in Haley Welsh. It'll be Brisa Carraro to close it out on bars for the Sharks. Competed on both bars and beam last year. Holds the highest bar score on the team, so fitting she's in the anchor spot. Had a 9.7 or higher 8 times in 2024. This is her first performance of the new year. And she starts out strong. Good way to finish on bars for the Sharks. But imagine that one will count. So now you have 2 performances, 1 for each side that'll be considered exhibitions. It'll be Brianna Verano for Temple going on bars, just finished on bars. And Daniela Holmes will also go for LIU on bars. That'll close out the second session once we get there. We're just waiting on the score for LIU. But again, Temple, aside from Wecklar's 9.2, which will not count, no one below a 9.55. Kirsten Johnson had the high of 9.8 on vault. And for Johnson, that is her season high on vault now. Had over a 9.7 in the season opener. So Carraro's score is what we're waiting on. Daniela Holmes going to get set to go on bars in exhibition form for the Sharks. No word on Carraro's score just yet. Just came in at a 9.775. Good way to start the season for Carraro. And that is the team high for the Sharks. So Caroline Kewer's score of 8.875 will not count. And the Sharks finished with a 47.4 on bars. And we'll compare that to their scores in their past couple meets. That's their second highest bar score of the season, as Daniela Holmes will finish up. LIU at a 47.7 in Denver. This is a 47.4. And Holmes finishes there. As for Temple on vaults, this is their second high, or actually their lowest on the season. This was a 48.275. They had a 48.375 and a 48.6 on the year on vault. So that'll wrap up the second session of the day. We'll now get into beam and floor, where we'll switch off. And we'll calculate the scores from the first two sessions, see where both sides stand. That all comes up after a quick break on NEC Front Row. Just around 3 minutes before the start of the third of four sessions here at the Pratt Recreation Center. LIU taking on Temple in the first home meet of the season for the Sharks. Logan Moranis bringing you all the action on NEC Front Row. Just tallied up the scores from the second session. Temple outscored LIU by .875 points, and after LIU had the lead in the end of the first session, Temple now has 95.65 points compared to LIU's 95.525 points. So it's still super close between these two teams heading into the back half of the meet here at Pratt Recreation Center. It's a difference of .125 points. And we mentioned there was exhibition matches or exhibition performances for both teams at the end of the second session. We just got the score for Holmes for LIU, which was a 9.55. Did not catch the score for Verano. Either they haven't put it up yet or I just totally missed it. We'll keep you updated on that. 2 minutes before the start of the third session, LIU will start out on beam. Temple will go on the floor, and we will switch for the fourth and final session. All that's coming up right here on NEC Front Row. And we're just about ready for the third session between LIU and Temple. Let's take a quick look at the lineups for this third session. LIU will start out on the beam. It's Angelina Hogan, followed by Renee Figueroa, Alina Delachenko, Katie Bills McCoy, Raphael Pedrew, Kiara Cartwright, and then they have two exhibitions of Zoe Claiborne and Daniela Holmes. On the floor for Temple, Madison Dorinda, followed by Hannah Wecklar, Kirsten Johnson, Summer Rusky, Renee Shugman, and Brooke Donabedian. That's the lineups for this third session between LIU and Temple. The clock just hit 0, so we're about ready to go. It'll start out with LIU on the beam and Angelina Hogan, who we've seen very recently for this Sharks team. We saw her on the bars where she scored a 9.525. She's had a lot of success on the beam, and she gets her performance going. Has the second highest beam score on the team, a 9.3 average. Transferred from Temple. It's a season high of a 9.35 this year. Able to keep her balance. Hogan did not compete on the beam while at Temple. This is their first season doing so collegiately for the Sharks. And able to stay on yet again. Hogan sticks the dismount. Good start on beam for LIU. Again, not trailing by much. Beam not been their strongest event. They are They were third and fourth in their two meets on the beam, and now it's the floor. Madison Derunda also competes on the beam and the vault for this Temple team. First time we're seeing her today. Has scored a 9.7 or higher in each of these first two appearances in 2025. Even got as high as a 9.9 on senior day last year. That was also against LIU, among other teams. Averaged a 9.7 last year, had over a 9.7 11 times a year ago. Another strong landing. And Temple gets a good start on the floor. Derunda led off in both the meets this year. Should have a higher score today. As the score came in for Angelina Hogan, it was a 9.7 to open up. And now it'll be Renee Figueroa. Average is just under a 9 so far this year. Season high of a 9.125 against Air Force. So a transfer from Rutgers. She did not compete last year. Father Nelson played in the MLB for a 9-year career with a couple different teams, including the Mets on the island. Looking to follow up the strong performance from Angelina Hogan. A good dismount off the beam. Her high this year over a 9.1. That one might have a chance to beat it. So we're still waiting the score for Derunda on the floor. It'll be Hannah Wecklar up next for Temple. Seeing Wecklar on the bars had a 9.675. Wecklar did not compete on vault, as Derunda's score just came in, a 9.675, which would be her lowest score of the season. Still a quality result. Wecklar averages a 9.7 on the floor this year, just coming off a 9.725. Competed 4 times on the floor last year, averaged over a 9.5. 2 performances over a 9.7. Also competes on bars and vault. The floor has been the best performing event for Temple in each of these first 2 meets they've had. It's easy to see why. Looking at these performances early on in this meet, the score just came in for LIU and Figueroa, a 9.75. That's a season high for her, an LIU high. As Alina Danlichenko performing now for LIU. Today, making her season debut, we saw her on the vault, where she collected a 9.375. Competed on the beam 6 times last year, averaged a 9.725, got as high as a 9.8. Competes in all the events except for bars for LIU. Starting her season today. Able to keep her balance, stays on. Makes the dismount on the near side. Hannah Weckler's score just came in for Temple, a 9.7. That's a high for Temple so far in this event. Now it's Kirsten Johnson. Specialized in this event at Talladega College. Scored a 9.85 in Texas. Led the team. Averages around a 9.4 this year. Averaged well over a 9.7 a year ago. If you look at Temple on social media, this event is what she's known for. Choreography being a big part of it. Tough to see that one scoring low. That is what she is best at. Almost improved by a full point in the Texas meet on the floor, as the score came in for Dan Liachenko's a 9.5, which is the low mark for LIU so far on the beam. They've had 3 strong performances to open up. So now it'll be Katie Bills McCoy stepping up. Competed on the beam in every match last year, averaged a 9.28, got as high as 9.775. Her high this year, a 9.575. That led the team against Air Force. McCoy last year tied for 9th in the Empire State Collegiate Championship, where she got that high score. It's 3rd on the team in beam points this year. A little trouble on the landing, but still able to stick it. As the score just came in for Kirsten Johnson, a 9.325, which is the low right now on the floor for Temple. All high scores in this 3rd session. Heading back to the floor now, Summer Ruski. The senior holds the highest floor score on the team, averaging a 9.8. It's a EAGL second team member on the floor, vault, and the beam. Just coming off a 9.85 in Texas. That was tied for 1st on the team alongside Johnson. So I think they just corrected the score on Johnson, a 9.625, not a 9.3. Would still be the low mark. as Rusky continues on. It's gotten as high as a 9.925 in this event. That came against LIU on senior day last year. Strong start for both teams in this third session. The score just came in for Bills McCoy, a 9.65, which is third on the team. That's ahead of Dan Liachenko's 9.5. Now it's Rafael Pedru making her season debut today. Talked about it when she came up for vault at a 9.575. And can't maintain her balance. Falls off on that right side. Pedru, the dismount, sticks it on the far side. See how the fall impacts the score. LIU can afford one low score. They've had all 9 5s or higher. They still have Kyra Cartwright to finish out on beam. Summer Rusky's score just came in for floor, a 9.625. All high scores for Temple on the floor. Since Renee Shugman now holds the second highest floor score on the team, averages around a 9.7. It's an all EGCL first teamer on the floor each of the last 2 years, a second teamer the 2 years before that. Both her scores this year have been higher than 9.7. Last year finished tied for 7th in the EAGL Championships, the 9.85. Gotten as high as a 9.9 in this event. Found herself in the NCAA Regional a couple years ago in Pittsburgh. Another strong performance for Temple on the floor as Pedru's score just came in, a 9.225, which is the low score right now. Kyra Cartwright will round out the beam for LIU. Freshman holds the best beam score on the team through 2 meets, averaging above a 9.5, just coming off a 9.75. In the Denver meet. That was the second best on the team. Saw Cartwright earlier on the vault, scored a 9.775. Also competes on the floor. Another good finish for LIU, and that's a quality segment on the beam for the Sharks. See if this is above the 9.225 from Pedro, and we'll tally up the scoring afterwards for the Sharks as Temple has its last performance from Brooke Donabedian. Shugman's score just came in for Temple. It was a 9.775, which is the highest for the Owls on the floor. Donabedian, a first-teamer in the EAGL for the last 3 years, qualified for the NCAA Regional all those years. Gotten some high scores over the years, has the graduate, had a 9.95 on senior day against the Sharks. Opened the season with a 9.825 this year against West Virginia. That's a good way to finish out the floor for Temple. As now we have 2 exhibitions for both sides. It'll be Zoe Claiborne on the beam for LIU. As now we can talk about the scores for the Sharks. As the score for Cartwright just came in, it was a 9.725, which gives LIU a trio of 9.7 or higher scores. Their final score, if you take away the score from Pedro, which would a 9.225, a 48.325, that's their highest score in any event today. And it comes on the beam, which has been a struggle for them on the year for the Sharks. And it's the highest score LIU's put up on the beam this year as well. So once we get the score from Donabedian from Temple, we can talk about the overall scores, as she needs to score above a 9.625 for it to count in the overall top 5 for Temple. It's a good place for the Owls to be, as they had a very solid performance in what's been their best event on the year. That was Zoe Claiborne finishing up her performance on the beam, as Harmony Haro will set up for her exhibition on the floor. Each side will have one more exhibition before we head into the 4th and final session. As Donabedian's score just came in a 9.6, which is the low for Temple. Again, not a bad place to be at all. So Temple finishes out with a 48.4 on the floor, which does outscore LIU by quite a large bit, and by no fault of LIU. They had a very solid performance on the beam, but it's going to extend Temple's lead, and we'll talk about by how much in just a second. That was Harmony Haro who just finished, as Zoe Claiborne's score just came out to a 9.525. Which again, these are exhibitions, so the score would not count regardless. Daniela Holmes is set for her exhibition performance. She had an exhibition in the bars segment, had a 9.55. Did compete on vault. That was a 9.45. She's been busy today. That was Daniela Holmes performing the last beam session for LIU. And final exhibition in the third session come from Nikki Rengifo. Harmony Haro's last performance came out to a 9.6. So if you include exhibitions, Temple has had all 9.6s or higher on the floor, and that's been why this session has been its best all season. We've seen Rengifo a couple times today. We saw her on the vault, which was a 9.675. Did not perform on bars. That was Nikki Rengifo finishing up the third session. And now we can get into some of the scoring after three sessions. Temple, in this session alone, outscored LIU 48-4 to 48.325. And as Temple already had the lead after the first two sessions, they'll extend its overall lead 144.05 to 143.85. That is a difference of 0.2. So this is still very close heading into the final session where LIU will head to the floor and Temple will go on beam. We'll get into the starting lineups for both sides for the fourth session after this on NEC Front Row. We're about 3 minutes away from the final session here at Pratt Recreation Center between LIU and Temple. The Sharks will head to the floor as Temple will go on the beam. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for this rotation. For LIU on the floor, Daniela Holmes will lead off, followed by Kira Sanchez, Zoe Claiborne, Kyra Cartwright, Ella Barrington, and Alina Delinachenko will be your six. No exhibitions for floor for LIU side of things. As for Temple, it'll be Megan White, Summer Rusky, Renee Shugman, Madison Dorinda, Robin Dunn, and Brooke Donabedian, with exhibitions from Nikki Rengifo and Hannah Wecklar for Temple. And it's still anyone's game heading into this fourth session of the meet. Temple leads by an overall score of 144.05 to 143.85. That's a difference of .2 overall. LIU won the first session with a strong performance on the vault. Temple has taken the last two. And Temple, if you include the exhibitions, which had Nikki Renhefo finishing with a 9.5, that was the lowest score for anyone on Temple on the floor. That was a phenomenal outing from them. As for LIU, they had a lot of strong performances as well. They had three of their performances over the score of 9.7. As they'll head on the floor, it's been a solid session for them on the season. LIU against Air Force, floor was their second highest scoring event, and in Denver it was their third highest, so in the middle of the pack overall. And as for Temple on the beam, it's been towards the bottom of the pack for them. It's been their third highest scoring event in both of their meets. So it's a chance for LIU to get back into it, as Temple took advantage of its best scoring event, which was the floor. So we've just about a minute before we get started. We'll take another quick pause here on NEC Front Row. Clock has just hit 0 at the Pratt Recreation Center. Just about ready for the fourth and final session between LIU and Temple. And what's been a close match, LIU looking for its first win head-to-head over Temple all time. They did beat them in a quad meet back in 2023. So it would be a big program win for the Sharks, opening up the EAGL conference on the right foot. This is the first game of the conference, first meet of the conference on the season. So we'll start with Temple on beam. It'll be Megan White once they get going here. She's set to go. It'll be White's season debut. White competed on beam 3 times last year, and in those meetings, averaged just over 8.8 points, and 8.8 was her best on the year. Also had an appearance on the floor in 2024. First time we're seeing Megan White today. Just able to keep her balance. Heads for the dismount on the near side. 6 it. Temple starts strong in this final session. It's looking to maintain its lead, as Daniela Holmes will lead off on the floor. Has the 5th highest floor score on the team with an average around 8.8. Had 8.9 in Denver. Finished 4th on the team there. Or it was actually an 8.6 in Denver. Had a 9.35 in the Air Force meet. That was 2nd on the team. Went from not competing in floor last year to now leading off in floor for LIU this year. We've seen her a couple times today. Had a 9.45 on the vault, a 9.55 in exhibition on bars, and an 8.2 on exhibition on the beam. Daniela Holmes just wraps up for LIU. Heading back to the beam where it'll be Summer Ruskey looking to follow up Megan White, who scored a 9.8, which matches the overall high today in her first beam event of the season. Now it's Ruskey. It's a 2024 EAGL second teamer on the beam last year. Averaged around a 9.6 on the beam a year ago. That was fifth on the team. Scored a 9.025 in her prior appearance in Texas. That was good enough for fifth on the team. It's the senior's third season competing on beam. She competed last year and in 2022, did not compete on the beam in 2023. And a good dismount for Ruskey. And Temple looking to close out this meet with two solid performances on beam. Still waiting for Daniela Holmes' score. Just came in now, a 9.675 for Daniela Holmes of LIU. It'll bring in Kira Sanchez, the veteran leader that Taylor Colwell relies upon in her first season. For Holmes, a 9.675 is her season high. And Sanchez gets set now, the second highest floor score on the team. Averages around a 9.46. Coming off a 9.625, that was third on the team. She went second in that match, which is where she's going today. Saw action in 7 matches on the floor a year ago, averaged a 9.6. Has a high of 9.775. Seen Kira Sanchez on the bar today, scored a 9.575 today. Also competes on the vault. We did not see her there today. Solid routine from Kira Sanchez there. As Summer Ruskey's performance for Temple scored a 9.75, just short of Megan White's 9.8. That's 2 plus 9.7s for Temple on the beam. Now Renee Schugman back in. It's the third highest beam score on the team. Average is a 9.35. Averaged a 9.7 or higher each of the past 2 seasons. Eclipsed the score of 9.7 11 times on the beam in 2024. Has scored over 100 points on the beam in every season since 2021. Looking to match her season high of 9.675. She got that in Texas. That was tied for second on the team. And Temple's front half of the beam, be pretty high scoring, looking to hold off the Sharks. Still waiting on the score for Kira Sanchez for LIU, as it'll be Zoe Claiborne. the freshman getting set to go. I think we're waiting on a score for Sanchez first. So the scores for Temple, Megan White had a 9.8, Samaruski a 9.75. And on floor, Daniela Holmes had a 9.675. Kira Sanchez with a 9.45. So through two competitors, two gymnasts, Temple has outscored both of the Sharks. This is Zoe Claiborne, third highest floor score on the team. Average is a 9.18. Season high came in the Air Force meet, had a 9.25. Followed that up with a 9.125 in Denver. That was fourth on the team. Claiborne with a point in the judge's direction as she finishes her routine. The performance came in for Renee Shubin, a 9.625, which is the team low right now. Good place to be in for the Owls as Madison Darunda is on the beam. Holds the second highest beam score on the team, was an all-conference second team member in both the regular season and the tournament each of the past two seasons in this event. Came in 10th place in the EAGL Championships. Scored a 9.825 there. Coming off a 9.675 in Texas, that's tied for second on the team. Able to keep her balance on the dismount on the far side. So we're still waiting on the score for Zoe Claiborne. It'll be Kyra Cartwright up next. Someone who LIU head coach Taylor Colwell thinks highly of. Said she's rose to the occasion and been able to get some great experience so far this year. And they're very excited, the program is, for what's to come for Cartwright. As Claiborne scores a 9.625, that's second on the team right now. So this is Cartwright now. Fourth best floor score on the team. Followed a team low in Air Force with a 9.65 in Denver, which was second on the team. Cartwright had a 9.775 on the vault today. And a 9.725 on the beam. Cartwright stepped out of bounds on the final maneuver. See how that impacts the score overall. Madison Darunda's score on the beam came out to a 9.85, which is the highest for Temple, as Robin Dunn will look to follow that up. Temple now has 2 scores above a 9.8 on the beam. Dunn will look to follow that up. A freshman, graduated from Fairfield High School, placed 10th in nationals in 2023, and was first on beam in the Colorado State Championships. Did not compete in Texas. She had a 9.5 in the West Virginia meet. That was 3rd on the team. It's the first time we're seeing Dunn tonight. Dunn just finished up, and now on the floor, it's LIU's ace in this category, Ella Barrington. Best floor scorer on the team this year, was 2nd in points in last year's floor competitions. Averaged a 9.6 last year, had a best of 9.85. Just coming off a 9.675 in the Denver meet, that tied for 15th of all competitors. Normally goes last. They're moving her up 1 spot. Been competing on the floor for LIU since her freshman year in 2021. That was Ella Barrington just finishing up. Couple scores to update you on. Kyra Cartwright tying Kira Sanchez with a low of 9.45. And then Robin Dunn, who just went on beam, a team low 8.975. That score would be wiped out, which for Temple, they have all 9.6s or higher. They can probably make do with that. So Brooke Donabedian, the last to go for this Temple squad. Highest beam score on the team, averaging a 9.7. First team conference member last year. Had the most amount of points on the team. 11 scores of a 9.7 or better. Also had the highest score on the team in 2022 and was 2nd in 23. Both her scores this year have been 9.7s. Both have been best on the team. Just able to stay on. So Temple is all done with its performances. They have 2 exhibitions coming up, but we can start calculating its scores once Donna Bedians comes in. Ella Barrington just came up with a 9-7. So now it's on Danlichenko, making her first appearance on the floor this year. Had 9 appearances a year ago, averaged a 9.72. Got as high as a 9.875. Seen her a couple times today. She got a 9.375 on the vault. Also has experience competing on the beam, where she got a 9.5 today. So that wraps up all the performances for LIU. There are a couple exhibition performances coming up for the Owls. Nikki Rengifo now performs on the beam. We have the final score for Temple, as Donna Bedian came up with a 9-7. That gave Temple its best performance overall by session with a 47.725. We're still waiting on Danlichenko's score. But Temple overall today, that was their highest performance in a match this season. They had 192.35. This was 192.775. If Danlichenko's final score is above a 9.45, it will count. And we can get to calculating that final score. The difference heading into this session was 0.2 between these two teams, but Temple came out with one of its best performances of the season on the beam. That performance was from Nikki Rengifo, who we saw get a 9.5 in exhibition on the floor, also at a 9.675 on the vault. So there's one more coming up. It'll be from Hannah Wecklar, and that will conclude all the performances today. The one last score we're waiting on to get the final score is from Danlichenko, which just came in at a 9.6, so her score will count. And Kira Sanchez, Kyra Cartwright tie for the team low. Time for the fun part, which is live calculation. So LIU came up with 48.05 points. That's 0.7 shy of Temple in this session. The final score for LIU is 191.9 points, so Temple does win the overall meet. Final score is 192.775 to 191.9. It's all tentative. As for LIU, this is the highest score they've had in a meet this season. They went up from 185 in the Air Force meet to 188 against Denver, now 191 tonight, nearly 192. So LIU continuing its vast improvements as Nikki Rengifo picked up an 8.45. The exhibition match is still concluding. And when we get into kind of concluding sentiments, The main thing that LIU head coach Taylor Colwell wanted to emphasize when someone sees her team compete for the first time, I'll quote this: "My biggest goal for people watching is they could see the love these girls have for the team and the sport. They have a bond like nothing I've seen before and are willing to do whatever the person next to them needs." Colwell building a new culture at LIU. She becomes just the second head coach in program history before the season. Had a lot of roster turnover before the year. Talked about a lot of new freshmen that are making their Pratt Recreation Center debut today and have. You see even now dancing on the floor, the Sharks are after the meet. It's the changing of the culture for the Sharks. Still a long season ahead. Put up their best point total in a meet today. Put up 191.9 points overall. Got to get you excited for the season ahead if you're a fan of the LIU Sharks. We'll keep it here, as we'll keep it here for the entire walk-off. Again, Temple takes the meet by a final score of 192.775 to 191.9. The officials are checking that final score to make sure it is in fact the final score. We were accurate through the first three sessions, so we'll see if we're accurate all the way through. We'll go through the final scores of that fourth session one time as well. For LIU on the floor, Daniela Holmes a 9.675, Kira Sanchez a 9.45, Zoe Claiborne a 9.625, Kyra Cartwright a 9.45, Ella Barrington a 9.7, that's the highest for the team in this event, and Alina Danliachenko a 9.6. LIU at 48.05 points in the floor session. That is their second highest total of the night, only behind Beam, which was at 48.325. As for Temple, Megan White had a 9.8, Summer Rusky a 9.75, Renee Shugman a 9.625, Madison Darunda a 9.85, Rob McDonough an 8.975, Brooke Donabedian a 9.7. So that wraps up the scoring. Temple had its best performance today in that Beam session with a 48.725, just behind their performance on the floor with a 48.4. I'll wrap it up on the headset as we'll keep the feed going through the entirety of the walk-off. For our entire crew here at NEC Front Row, I'm Logan Barandis, and we'll see you next time.
9675. Brooke Burkhart from LIU tied for third with a 9675. Second place from LIU, Kira Cartwright with a 9775. First place vault from Temple, Kirsten Johnson with a 98. Your bar scores, moving on to third place, Mariella Druick. Third place, 9650. Second place from Temple, Hannah Weckler, 9675. And third place on bars,